Hi. So let's work today on intervals. And I'm going to do a really basic, simple explanation. Um, in music, in Western music, we construct things based on half steps, whole steps, minor thirds, major thirds, etc. So let's look at them for a minute. The first thing I want to look at is minor seconds. So, whenever you have a minor second or a half step, for an example, you will have a C going to a C sharp. Of course, you can have the opposite, C sharp going to a C, and that is still going to be a half step. Also, for an example, we go from a D to a D sharp, that is a half step. Or if you go from a G to a G sharp, it's a half step. Also, sometimes the letters names change, but it's still the same thing. So, for an example, you can have a C going to a D flat. D flat and C sharp are the same thing. Or, if we go from over here, if we go from um, a D to an E flat, E flat is the same as a D sharp. They have the same name, but it's written differently. So that's what happens with half steps. The next thing you're going to have is going to be a whole step. So if you have a whole step, for example, you go from C and you go to D, that's a whole step. Because in between, you can actually fit a C sharp, right? So you have a half step going here, and then you have another half step going here. Let's look at another example. So let's say I do from G, you go to A. So you can go from G to G sharp and G sharp to A. And that gives you a half step here and a half step here. And that whole combination gives you a whole step, right? So that is half steps and whole steps. Let's do one little quick explanation of another one. Let's say we do from B flat. This one's going to be a little tricky. B flat to C. So from B flat to C, you have also a whole step because between B and C, you have a natural half step, right? This is a half step between B and C. So in between this, you have a B because you have a B flat to a B and from B to a C. And that gives you the half step here and the half step here. I hope that was clear. Let me explain to you the next interval. So that would be for half steps and whole steps. If we do a minor, let's do a minor third. So when we're moving up, let's say we're going again, let's use C as an example. C to E flat would be a minor third. That's a minor third. So what you can fit in between is like a C to C sharp, which is a half step, C sharp to D, which is another half step, and D to E flat or D sharp, which is another half step. So for a minor third, you have 3 half steps to create a minor third. And that formula works for everything. And you can work with in a chromatic way when you're thinking about things. I think about it in sense of if I want to figure out a minor third, I just think of it as in relationship to the major scales because I memorize the scales. But this is a formula to make a minor third. Let's do another minor third. So let's say we have from G to a B flat. This is a minor third. Now, you can fit three half steps. G to A flat, it's a half step. A flat to A, it's another half step. And then you have A to B flat, and that's another half step. So you have 1, 2, and 3 half steps. And that gives you a minor third. Let's do a last example. So let's do a little bit more complicated. Let's do from E. So you go E, and the minor third would be a G. E to G is a minor third. And let's figure it out. So you have E to F, it's a natural half step. F to F sharp or G flat, it's a half step. And F sharp to G, it's a half step. So you have 1, 2, 3 half steps. And that gives you the minor third. We're going to go only up to major thirds because I think that's what concerns us in regards to the harmonic structures that we were talking the other day. So the major third would have, of course, 4 half steps. So a major third has 4 half steps. And let's try it. So we're going to do from A. I know that the major third is going to be a C sharp. So the way I think of it is A, the next one would be a B flat or A sharp, B flat to B, B to C is a natural half step, and then C to C sharp. So there you have 1, 2, 3, and 4 whole steps, or whole steps, I guess. 4 whole steps. Okay, let's look at another one, another example of a major third. Let's try it with D. So you have D, I know the major third would be an F sharp. So we're going to go from D to E flat, that's a half step. E flat to E, it's another half step. E to F, it's a natural half step. And F to F sharp, it's another half step. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps. So that's the way you construct them, the major and minor thirds. And the reason why we're working on this, of course, is for you to understand the harmonic structures, how they're built. And I'm going to do another video about that. I hope this helped.